Good evening, BSED English 3-1. Good evening, Ma'am Princess Mercado. I am Rose Pearl Peralta, and I am one of your discussants for tonight. To begin with, my topic is all about the strategies in teaching poetry. So, why do we really need to teach poetry? Well, by the time that the students reach middle school, they have already been exposed to poetry. They may already have prejudices like, it's too hard to understand, it's frustrating, I don't get it. I know that we know this because even us, we are having a hard time understanding some literary pieces, especially when the poem uses words that is so deep. That is why it is very important that as an English teacher, we should always have our own techniques on how we can teach the hidden meaning of a poetry. When students start analyzing poetry beyond comprehension, they begin practicing critical thinking. So, we have here 6 strategies that can help in teaching poetry. The first one is reading aloud. As a teacher, we have always encountered different learning styles of our students in terms of reading poetry. So, some may learn when they are reading silently, but mostly nowadays, readers can easily comprehend if they are reading it aloud. Reading aloud make a better understanding on the real meaning of the literary piece because while they are reading the poem, the sound and the rhythm of it will help us to be more interested to know the message of the writer that he or she wanted us to know. The spoken word is very powerful. Instead of just hearing what a collection of words sounds like in our head when those words are spoken aloud, we are entering into the realm of performance. We are teachers, that is why we should be the one to lead our students. So, before letting our students read the poem on their own, we should read it for them because there are times that students can encounter words wherein they do not know the pronunciation. It is essential that reading aloud several times can help them to understand the deeper meaning of every literary pieces. Next, we have learn about the poet prior to their poetry. Before reading a poem, it is better to search for the writer's background because we can have an idea on what are the reasons why he or she wrote the specific literary piece. It is important to make a background check because mostly writers always choose to write what they have experienced, like their mood, emotions, life events, family and relationships, as well as nature. So, learn as much as you can as the poet. Where and what time period did the writer live? Because understanding time period is also important for us readers to draw conclusions about the poem's meaning. The third strategy is identify words that the students do not understand. We should teach them to get out of their comfort zone and let them explore new words. Let's guide them to be familiarized on the words they are unfamiliar with. In reading a poem, unfamiliar words are unavoidable. So every time that we will read a poem and encounter an unfamiliar word, the students are free to look into the meaning and understand the message of the text. Next, we have visualize the images, clarify words and phrases. Visualizing is when the author paints a picture in our head. Visualization brings the readers to life. It helps the students to be connected to the poem because they were able to see the characters and their actions as they are part of the story, and by this, they are becoming more involved. So, by letting the students visualize what is the real situation in the poem, they are being more engaged in the teaching learning process. Next, teach figurative language. There are poems that use simple words wherein we can easily understand, but there are some poems that have different meaning, words that have different meaning. So it is always important to teach the figurative language to compare things in order to give them more detail and to also help speak to our reader's emotion. For the next and for the last one, Evaluate the poem's theme and allow your understanding to grow. Theme is the main subject that is being described in a piece of writing. So it is very important to know or to acknowledge because we can get what it is the real point of the writer and to examine the independent elements of a poem to understand the literary work and its entirely. So that's it. That's end my report. So I hope you have learned something new. Have a great night everyone. God bless.